Once again, we are looking at paper 3 chemistry, but this time round we are looking at the analysis of organic compounds, and the compounds we are going to test under this section are alkanes, which are represented using a single bond. These are saturated hydrocarbons, and we normally don't focus on the test for alkanes. 2, we are going to test for unsaturation in alkenes, which are represented using the double bond. Number 3, we are also going to test for the unsaturation in alkynes, which are represented using a triple bond. Apart from these hydrocarbons, we are also going to test for the presence of alkanols, commonly known as alcohols, and alcohols are represented by R or H. Lastly, we are going to talk about alkanoic acids, which are represented by R, C, O, H as written anyway. What are some of the reagents that we use? The reagents we use: 1, we have bromine water. If you don't have bromine water, we can use chlorine water. Chlorine water tests for these two organic compounds. That is, they test for the presence of the double bond. They also test for the presence of the triple bond. And we are looking at unsaturation on alkenes and alkanes. These reagents we use are colored, and therefore if a solution contains either alkenes or alkynes, this reagent will be decolorized anytime it is added to a solution suspected to have either an alkene or an alkyne. Number 2, we have also what we call flame test, and the flame test is going to test for the C double bond, also the C triple bond, and anytime you burn a solid that is suspected to have either an alkene or an alkyne, these ones will always burn with a yellow sooty flame. We are going to look at how we can use bromine water and also how to use the flame test to identify these two compounds. Number 3, we have acidified potassium permanganate. We call it CuMnO4, and it is usually acidified. That is one of the conditions. Anytime you see this particular reagent, what does it test for under organic compounds? This one tests for the C double bond. It tests for the C triple bond, and it also tests for R or H. That means acidified potassium permanganate tests for the presence of the double bond, triple bond, also the presence of alkanols. Acidified potassium permanganate is usually purple. And if you add this reagent to a solution that contains either an alkene, an alkyne, or an alkanol, this purple color will always turn colorless, confirming that it is either an alkene, an alkyne, or an alkanol. We move down to the reagent number 4, and the reagent number 4 is acidified potassium dichromate 6. That is K2CR2O7, and usually this one is acidified. What does it test? Remember, this one is orange, and we expect it to change to green. That is in case we have an alkene or an alkyne or an alkanol. This one is does the same work as acidified potassium permanganate. So potassium dichromate tests for the C double bond with the correct number of bonds, C triple bond, and also it tests for the presence of alcohols. So remember, the orange color of acidified potassium dichromate is expected to change to green, indicating that that solution could either be an alkene, alkyne, or an alkanol. Then number 5, remember we are going to do this practically using the reagents that we have so far discussed. This is simply an opener to know what you expect in our next episode. You can be given sodium hydrogen carbonate. If you don't get sodium hydrogen carbonate, you can be given the pH chart, and mostly the pH chart is used together with the universal indicator. So if you see sodium hydrogen carbonate, or you see the pH chart and the universal indicator, then you should know that you are going to test for the presence of acids. And in this case, it could be organic acids, which are represented using RCOOH, or we have the mineral acids represented by H positive. Those are the organic compounds that we are going to look at in our next practical, and the reagents which we have mentioned and the expected observation. Remember, the test for all these compounds will also touch on solubility, and therefore stay around so that we can take you through this particular paper and how easy you can handle paper 3 chemistry. Thank you for watching and welcome to our channel. And in case you haven't subscribed, take 1 second and click the subscribe button.